Alrighty, I'm going to do a little demonstration on how to draw the eye. Understanding all the parts of the eye is really helpful, knowing what to look for. So here I just have a photograph of my eye. And no matter whose eye it is though, I start by drawing a circle, which is the eyeball. Everyone has a spherical eyeball, and centrally located is an iris, okay, the color part of the eye, and then a pupil. All of which are perfectly circular. So I need to spend a little bit more time making sure that my iris is as circular as possible before I continue on. And then it's also important to note that the pupil needs to go directly in the center of that. Our pupils are not off-centered, and we can make that mistake if we draw the eyelids first, because that's what we think we need to draw first. So we start with a circle, a sphere, the circular iris, and the circular pupil to begin with. And then we're going to cover a lot of that up with the eyelids themselves. So then I'm going to look at my photograph or the person's eye in front of me and look how much of the upper part of the iris is covered, and that's going to help me determine where I'm going to start my upper eyelid line. So I'm going to bring my upper eyelid line here and curve around that and wrap around the form of the eyeball. And then when it comes to the inner part of the eye, the tear duct and the outer corner, you want to make sure you're comparing. I usually hold my pencil across horizontally and I look and see which is higher. My outer corner is higher than my inner corner, so I want to make sure that I've got that point higher than my inner corner point. But then also look at the tear duct. Do you see that fleshy part that helps hold the eyeball in where it is? So you want to extend your line work out past that original circle that you drew, right? The corner stops, the outer corner stops right on the outside edge of the eyeball, but the inner corner has to surpass it so you can have some of that fleshy muscle tissue there. And then the lower lid, it's not just straight across, it does dip and curve because it's wrapping around this circular form of the eyeball. And it's also important to note the thickness of the lower eyelid that we see. If you look very closely, the eyelashes themselves start a bit of a distance away from the eyeball. And this area right here, this fleshy lid, you want to allow that kind of edge of it to have a highlight on it. So right now I'm drawing pretty dark contour so you can see it, but I'm going to go in with my eraser when I start adding values and tones to start highlighting those areas to give it form. So I can erase that eyeball sphere form now if I'm happy with my eyelids, which I am. And then I'm going to look at this upper eyelid crease. Some people have varying shapes of this. As I am older, many of my young students may not have, you know, the upper lid that's a little closer to the crease, but I'm looking at the line work and the shape and the negative space in between the first lash line that I drew and then what's there. And then some of these areas become shadows. They're not lines at all. So I'm going to be very careful about drawing lines where they don't exist. And then I can consider the shape of my eyebrow. For eyebrows, this is something we haven't covered yet in class, but for eyebrows you can just contour out the basic shape. I've got a lot of untamed eyebrow hairs there, but you want to get the basic shape and size. Looking at my height of it, it's really, yeah, I got my thickness right there. So I'm comparing it to my iris to determine that. Typically the eyebrow extends out past the outer corner of the eye, which most people don't think it does, but it does. And it's okay, it does. All right, I'm gonna get it a little bit closer And I'm sorry if I'm shaking while I'm holding this. Okay, so now I'm also going to continue to work on the crease underneath. And there's a basic contour of what I need for the eye.